Hey there guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today's video, as you can see, is going to be a bit different as we are not in our regular survival series. I am in fact in a creative world here. And so I was scrolling through the comments the other day and there was this comment, I'll show it up on screen if I can, that said that he enjoyed my videos but I never really explained what I did with my ships or like how I built them. So I thought in today's video I go through all my ships and explain like what I did, how I built them and stuff, if you guys, care about that. And so the order I'm gonna do the ships is I'm first gonna start with the welder, then the small explorer ship, and then my mining ship, and then the Enterprise shuttle, and then the Enterprise. So that is the order I'm gonna do the ships in. And I hope you guys enjoy the video, as it's not specifically meant to be a tutorial, but you could use it as a tutorial on like how I built my ships, I guess. But not advertising it as a tutorial in any way. Alright, so let's get into the video here, guys. So the first ship that I am going to show you is the welding ship here. And so to kind of explain it here, I built this as kind of a temporary measure to build up the Enterprise in the survival series. And the welding ship that I have here and the one in the survival series is different. I have two more large cargo containers in the one in my survival world. But apart from that, that is the only change. It is pretty much the same other than that. So as you can see here, I have two welders on the front here, a connector on the bottom there, and plenty of thrust in all directions to support itself with one large cargo container. And also, since it's a hydrogen ship, it only has 3 small batteries on the top there, as it doesn't need a lot of battery power. It has 1 small spotlight on the top and 2 gyros. And I find that that is enough power and stuff to, get it running. I also do have an O2H2 generator on the back, so it can generate its own hydrogen if needed. And so now if we get into the cockpit here, well, as you can see, it is not configured. That is my fault. I saved the ship before I configured everything. But essentially what I had on the toolbar was the connector, switch lock, both the welders, and the spotlight, as well as a refuel hotkey for the hydrogen tank, so like you can put like refuel on and off, if that makes sense. Just makes it easier to get all the hydrogen in there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can tell you about this ship. If there's anything else you want to know about the welding ship, or any of the other ships really, leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer the questions that you guys do have. Moving on here to the little shuttle here we built pretty early on in the series to go look and explore space here. As you can see, it is kind of similar in size to the welder ship here, as well as it also only has 1 hydrogen tank and 1 large cargo container, as I don't think it would need any more than that. It also has 2 large batteries on it to make sure it has enough battery life. It has 2 gyros on it also, which I think I also changed in my survival series. I think I did put another gyro on there. I could be wrong on that. I also have a ore detector and an antenna there. I also have 1 large drill, or not large drill, small grid drill on the front of it here so it can drill out stuff. I also did put its own O2H2 generator on it so it can produce its own hydrogen if needed. And so now if we move into the cockpit here, which is actually the cab cockpit, if we go into here we can actually see the button configurations I have here. So number 1, I have the drill on and off. Number 2, I have the conveyor on and off. Number 3 are the backwards thrusters. I think, yep, they're the backwards thrusters. Number 4 are the 2 spotlights, which I have on the sides of the ship there. Number 5 is the ore detector on and off. Number 6 is the connector switch lock. Number 7 is the antenna there. Number 8 is the hydrogen refill. And number 9 is the battery recharge on and off. So those are the hotkeys I have set up for the shuttle here. And as far as like thruster placement goes, I have 2 bottom thrusters, 3 top thrusters, and then 3 side thrusters on both sides, and then this really big thruster on the back here to give it a lot of forward thrust, and then 2 backwards thrusters here for good braking. And so that's the thruster configuration I have for this, and I think it works pretty well at what it does. And yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for the small shuttle here. And again, gonna repeat this a few times. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. And so now if we move on to our next ship here, which is the big mining ship. So to start off here, we have 2 large thrusters on the bottom here and 2 smaller thrusters there to give it enough upwards lift when under load. And also, quick disclaimer, this build of the mining ship only works in 0G and on low gravity planets like the moon, so please keep that in mind as I explain this. So yeah, anyway, we have 2 spotlights there on the bottom so you can see what you're mining underneath you. And as far as the drills, we have 8 drills in total, 6 on the sides and then 1 in the back and 1 in the front here, just to make sure we have enough clearance. And as far as the ejectors go, we have 6 ejectors in total, 1 for each drill on the sides here. We also have another spotlight on the front, facing frontwards, if you need to see in the front area there. As far as the thrusters go, you have 2 facing downwards for downwards thrust. You have 2 facing side to side for left and right thrust. You have 4 facing backwards for backwards thrust, and a really big thruster here facing forward for forward thrust. And oh wait, we actually have 4 total sideways thrusters there. As far as cargo, it has 2 large cargo containers which can hold quite a bit of ore. It also has a large hydrogen tank on it and its own O2H2 generators just to make sure it can make its own hydrogen if needed. And if we go into the cockpit here, we can see that in the hotkeys here I got a few things. So number 1 is the drills, number 2 is the conveyors, number 3 is the backwards thrust, number 4 are all the thrusters, number 5 is the ore detector, number 6 is the switch lock for the connector, 7 is the spotlights, and 8 are the antennas. And that's it for the configuration of the mining ship here. And to kind of explain the design, the reason why I built this mining ship like this rather than like this kind of mining ship is because I found with this kind of design, it's really hard to mine stuff because you're going like straight vertical most of the time, which usually isn't a problem if you have enough thrust, but I still find it to be really annoying. So my thought process with this ship is to make kind of like a specifically designed mining ship for vertical mining, and to make it big enough to collect a lot of stuff here, which I think hits both of those points really nicely. So yeah, that is the mining ship. I'm not sure if there's anything else I can explain about it. So yeah, there's also 2 gyros on it and 2 large batteries there just to make sure we have enough battery power too. Real quickly guys, just want to explain how to make an ejection system if you guys care. If you go into the control panel here and you search up connectors, so you'll have all your small connectors here. You want to put them on throw out, you want to turn that on, and then you want to get your conveyor sorters. And for filter mode, you want to go to whitelist and then activate filters stone. So then when you collect stone, the sorter will sort it through, and then the ejector or the connector will eject it. So that's kind of a rough summary of how you make that. Anyways guys, moving on to our 4th ship here. We have the Enterprise shuttle, which has a little bit of everything on it. So I'll start with the thrusters here. And so with the thrusters, as you can see, there is quite a bit of thrusters on it. So we have 4 down-facing thrusters. We have 4 backwards facing thrusters, 2 frontwards facing thrusters, and then 4 thrusters facing on all sides. with more along the ship here, as you can see. And now in my survival series, I actually do add atmospheric thrusters to this, because the shuttle itself can operate fine like this in an atmosphere, but when you load it up under load, it actually can't support itself and does need atmospheric thrusters, or more hydrogen thrusters. And so moving on here, it has one large cargo container, one large hydrogen tank. It has a survival kit because one, I want it so I can respawn on it if I do die, because my original idea for the ship was I would park the big Enterprise in orbit and then I would take you down to a planet. So that's why I want one of the reasons why I wanted a survival kit on it. The other reason is it can refine stone, which is really big too, because say I'm like just mining an asteroid for some stone or for resources or whatever, and I'm running low in basic materials like stone, nickel, or silicone, I can really quickly just mine up some stone and have it like refined, just ready to go, which is really helpful. But if I don't need stone, I do have ejectors set up here, so I have 18 ejectors set up here, which I did test it, and it can eject stone faster than it can mine it, which is a really big plus there. Moving forward here, I have one ore detector, one antenna. I also have a hydrogen engine on it, again, because this is meant to be fully independent, which means I also want it to have like its own power source, which would be the hydrogen engine. It has 3 gyros on it just to make sure it's nimble. It has a camera on it if you can't see out the cockpit. It also has one forward-facing spotlight on it, and also 2 Gatling turrets in case it needs to be used as a fighter, or if it needs to defend itself. I don't recommend it using as a fighter because it's not, designed for that, although they are there just in case I am attacked. Moving into the cockpit now, it is also the industrial cockpit again, because I do like its design here. So what I have on the hotbar here is the drill. This is the button pressing one, if that makes sense. Same thing with the Gatling turret. And also I did used to have landing gear on here that was hotkey 7, but I ended up changing them out because I didn't think they would be that useful at the time. And so 8, I also have the ejectors on and off, and 6 has the connector on and off. It also seems like I forgot to hotkey the hydrogen tank and batteries, but usually I would also have 2 hotkeys for refilling the hydrogen tank and recharging the batteries. And yeah, that's about all I have for the Enterprise shuttle here. And so now if we move on to the actual Enterprise here, as you can see, it is quite a big ship, at least in my opinion, it's a big ship here. So when I was building it, right, originally, I just wanted it to be like one big block, but then I thought to myself that wouldn't look super nice, so I decided to put the thrusters on their own little like pods, and then I decided to put the bridge on top here instead of like in front, because I thought maybe it would look better, and I do think it does look better here. And so starting with the outside here, with the thrusters, we have 4 thrusters, big thrusters in total, 2 for front thrust, 2 for back thrust, and then 8 total thrusters facing upward, 4 down thrust, 8 thrusters total for like side thrust, moving like left and right, and then finally a total of 15 downwards facing thrusters for up thrust. And now the reason why I have way more downward thrusters here is because if I was going to take this thing into an atmosphere, I did not want to be in a situation where I did not have enough up thrust to get out again. So that's why I have extra thrusters on the bottom there. Moving on here, we can see that the Enterprise also has a few guns on it. So it has a total of 4 Gatling turrets and 2 assault turrets. 2 Gatling turrets on top here and 1 assault turret on top here. Same for the bottom, as you can see there. So you see guys, the reason why I have guns on here is because if I ever did run into a hostile faction or space pirates or whatever, I did have guns to defend myself and maybe even go on the offensive here. Maybe though, it wasn't quite designed for that. But I did want to have enough guns on here to, defend myself if the situation were to arise. Moving on though, so I have one large ore detector and antenna here. The reason why I have the ore detector here is because during transit, if I pass by asteroids and stuff, I can just turn that on and scan the asteroids around me instead of taking the shuttle and like manually having to circle it. And also, real quickly, I do play with one mod on my survival series, and that is a high range ore detector mod, just to make my life a bit easier when searching for ores. Anyways guys, moving on here, we are going to go to the front of the ship here, where you can see I have 2 spotlights here set up with 3 hangar doors here. So this inner area is totally pressurizable, although I don't have an air vent in here because I don't see a situation where I'll need it to be pressurized. And so looking in here, you can see that I have one assembler in here with 3 speed modules. I was going to add a 4th one, but the connector on top there was needed to feed the top row of guns. So that's why I don't have a 4th one. And then, as you can see also, I have the connector here connected to the assembler. So when the shuttle docks, it's connected straight to the assembler. Or it doesn't really matter where it's connected, because it all gets, fed in the same way and stuff. Anyway, it ended up working out really nicely, I think. So now if we continue with the insides of the ship here, so I am going to actually temporarily just delete a bunch of the ship here so we can get on the inside and look at it. Here we go guys, looking at the inside of the ship here, you can see that I have 3 large cargo containers here because I wanted to make sure I had enough storage for this thing to last a while. I also have 1 regular refinery here with 3 yield modules and 1 speed module. Now my reasoning behind the 3 yield modules and 1 speed module is because I don't really care how long it takes to refine it, I just want a lot of what it's refining, if that makes sense. So like take something like a rare material like uranium. With a material as rare as uranium, I want like more of it rather than have it refined faster, if that makes sense, because if I have it refined faster, then I would have to go back and get more every time, if that makes sense, rather if I just yield better results and have it be slower. Again, if that all makes sense. And so then going to the back of the ship here, we have a jump drive here for jumping, between planets and stuff to make planetary travel faster. And if we get rid of the jump drive here, going more into the guts of the ship here. So as you guys can see, I have 3 O2H2 generators on here to make sure it can generate enough hydrogen for the 4 hydrogen tanks. That's another thing I forgot to mention. There are 2 hydrogens each in each of these pods here, so 4 hydrogen tanks in total. So that's why I have 3 O2H2 generators to make sure it can generate enough hydrogen. I also have a total of 2 hydrogen engines to produce a total of 30 megawatts, I believe. Sorry, not 30, 10 megawatts. Sorry, I was thinking of the nuclear reactor because this makes 15 megawatts. Sorry, so the 2 hydrogen engines make up 10 megawatts each, which, if the nuclear reactor isn't running, is enough to power the ship. Although I wouldn't use it for long periods though, because that would eat up through all our hydrogen pretty quickly. So that's why I have the small nuclear reactor here, which can produce 15 megawatts worth of power and not use up a ton of resources as well, as it doesn't chew through uranium super quickly. The other thing I do have is a gravity generator to produce artificial gravity. So if we just get that out of the way temporarily here. I have a total of 4 gyros, large gyros for the Enterprise, and it seems to work out pretty good. It doesn't feel like super sluggish, but it also isn't like super nimble either. I also have 2 batteries here underneath the gyros. And yeah, that's about all there is back here. And so now if we make our way up into the actual bridge area, you can see that I have a med bay here set up for like recharging my suit with hydrogen, oxygen, and other stuff. And the way this is connected is I actually have it attached from the bottom of here going to the top of there using a conveyor junction. So that's how I have it connected. And then of course this area is also pressurizable using a full block air vent, by the way. And I also have a small cargo container here just to like store, you know, temporary stuff like tools and other things. I also have a bed, button panel, and kitchen here, mainly for aesthetic reasons. They don't really serve a purpose. Other than the panel here, I do have one hotkey for the shuttle hangar in the front there. And so moving on to the control seat here, like where the place where you would actually drive the Enterprise. If you get into here, first person view, I think it actually looks pretty cool here. So going through the hotkeys here, so hotkey 1 is the hangar door. Hotkey 2 is the backwards thrust for the Enterprise. Hotkey 3 is the landing gear. Hotkey 4 would be the jump command for the jump drive. Hotkey 5 is the ore detector. Hotkey 6 is the outside connector for there, so I have that connector in case if I wanted to hook up another ship to the outside of the Enterprise or hooking up to a station or anything, as you guys probably saw a couple times in my survival series. Moving on though, so we have the antenna with hotkey 7, we have the hydrogen engines with hotkey 8, and we have all 4 hydrogen tanks for refill on hotkey 9, I believe that's what that is. Switching to our second hotkey here, we have the front headlights there. And we also have the control stations for both the top and bottom turrets here. And now I believe in my survival series, I changed up these hotkeys just a little bit, but not a whole lot, I don't believe. And so yeah, that is pretty much the Enterprise in a nutshell. Again, if you guys have a question about the Enterprise, about how I built it or whatever, please leave it in the comments and I will try my best to answer them. And that goes the same for the rest of the ships as I mentioned earlier on in the video. Anyways guys, I think that's going to be the end of the video here. And if you guys could please like and subscribe to the video, that would mean a lot to me. And thank you for watching this video guys, as you know it is a bit different. And yeah, thank you for watching my video guys, see you guys in the next video. Bye!